Welcome back, everybody. It's Channel Control. That's Matt over there.
That's right.
And that's
BK? Kevin?
This is not BC.
No.
He's
got a better beard.
It's a manly beard.
Gorgeous beard.
It's a Vikings beard.
Yes. A show we aren't talking about today.
This is Kevin.
It's a good show. It's a good show.
Matt's friend. My friend. Everyone's friend.
That's right. Not just Kevin, but also Brodenheim, somebody you will see during the UGF Presents Madden NFL Classic.
Which I appreciate the invite for.
Yeah.
Looking forward to that tournament a lot.
I've played with you a lot of times. I know how good you are.
I've still been practicing. I only have Madden 2016, but I'm still practicing, and I'm going to come in there and I'm going to whoop all your asses.
Of course you only have Madden 16 because it's the one with Odell Beckham on the cover.
Odell!
By the way, if you haven't noticed, we're the Hat Brothers today. Because all three of us are wearing hats. We forced Rob to wear a hat.
I was told to wear a hat today.
Because we were wearing hats, so we were like, you can wear a hat. And this is my first time I've ever seen him in a hat.
I have a bunch of them. I just don't wear them.
You should wear more hats.
No.
Especially one with Corona hats that will open up beers.
I have to cover my thinning hairline.
Oh,
I
yeah.
got a widow's peak that's pretty rough these days.
Oh, bro, it's the same with me, except I also didn't shower today, so I was like, I'm just going to wear a hat. That'll be fine. Because otherwise, it is a mess.
I noticed the funky smell over here.
Oh, yeah, dude. I put deodorant on. It's fine. But,
okay.
TV.
So, we're going to talk about TV shows. Now, Channel Control's doing a little bit of change right now because YouTube is being an asshole.
Well, thanks, Logan Paul.
Yeah. So now the monetization that I was getting is going bye-bye. It wasn't a lot, but it was something. I could buy a six-pack, get some chips, ramen. I like ramen.
How much ramen?
I love ramen. A lot of ramen.
Okay. My bad.
So now I need 1,000 subscribers. So, hey, if you want to, go ahead and click subscribe. And thanks for watching. And let's get into today's show. And the first thing we're talking about is Supergirl.
Oh, I love Supergirl. And I never thought I would actually say that.
Yeah. Well, we're going to go through all the CW shows because everything came back this week as far as superheroes and so on. So, yeah, Supergirl, we start the show off and she's in her loft and everything's fine. And within 2 minutes, you find out that she's in a coma. Mm-hmm. Because Rain beat the living shit out of her in the mid-season finale.
It was not even close how bad she got beat. It was so bad that I was like, wait a second. It had me start questioning, can Kryptonians take that much of a beating? I just had never seen that before. Yeah. It was crazy. But yeah, so
I mean, when she dropped her off the building, I was like, oh my gosh, she's gonna die. Oh wait, that's Supergirl.
Yeah, it's fine. It's Kara. She'll be okay. Yeah, so it was a great episode though, because unlike how Flash was, where they needed Barry Allen to save the day, so you needed the Speed Force open so you could bring back Barry Allen, you didn't need that with this one. Mm-hmm. Instead, they had to just try and survive without Supergirl. And for the most part, they did a fairly good job. I mean, at the end, yeah, and Supergirl saved the day, but it was still they weren't trying to get her back so quickly. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was a good thing.
They didn't rush that, and honestly, I was kind of surprised that we haven't seen her cousin come back into play at all recently.
That's been one of the bigger points that I know BC is making right now.
Where is he at?
Where is he at?
Is he just... I mean, you would expect that he would have some influence, especially, with his cousins going down.
And then especially you got Jimmy Olsen there, who can use that little watch thing he's got to just contact Superman and be like, hey, look, you need to come over and check on your cousin because she's out right now,
Well, you also got to look at it as this is Supergirl, not Superman. So you can't just oh, something's wrong with Kara? Call Superman. Kara's not here? Call Superman. You have to figure out the problem with Supergirl. So using
right. But if the world is under attack and Rain is going to destroy the world, that's pretty much Superman's jurisdiction.
I feel like he can cross over just a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
That bar
no.
for the guy who's passionate,
Yeah. Yeah. You think Superman's going to be like, no, that's her problem. Really? No. Superman, he deals with Brainiac. That's cool. Like, he's just got to deal with the big guys. Rain's going to blow up the world. It's fine. Kara can handle it.
Well, right now, Rain is just being the hero of National City. Because, I mean, she thinks that later on in the episode, you see she thinks that all the people walking around, they see crime happening, they do nothing, you're all responsible. So she's stopping everything. In one part where she stopped some criminals by burning down the building they were in, and when the cops showed up, she attacked the cops. Mm-hmm. Which, you got here too late.
Yeah, you're right. And then she just tried to kill everyone in a prison because they've done wrong.
Do it better.
Yeah.
It's like, because eventually you're going to get out and do another crime, so I'm just coming here and kill everybody.
Yeah. Again, kind of thinks it's a Superman deal, like, the population of the city is going down.
The world. Just one little itty-bitty city, which I understand.
Yo, I really like the new Supergirl. I thought Supergirl was really well done. I've really been liking this whole season, but I have one major problem with where they go with this and what happens on Supergirl this week. So, everything was fine. She's knocked out. She got her ass beat by Rain. That's cool, whatever. But then they're all worried about what are we going to do? How are we going to stop this girl? Well, we can get her with all the kryptonite. Superman got rid of all the kryptonite. So what do we do? You literally just answered your question. Call Superman. Pretty sure Jimmy Olsen still got that little watch or ring or whatever it was he could do to call him. If this super being is just going around killing people and Mon-El can't do nothing about it, call Superman. That's my problem with this world, is that now that you've introduced Superman, you need to have him there. Like, it's stuff like this doesn't make sense. So, again, it's a good episode, but I couldn't help but have that problem with it. So,
Kevin, you didn't watch Supergirl, did you? Or
No. I've caught some of the highlights and kind of debriefed on some of the things, but I did not catch the entire episode.
Oh, okay, all right. So overall, everyone, what do you think of Supergirl? And thumbs up, thumbs down?
I've loved it.
Care.
This is something that I was telling BC during Gifted Talkers, the Gifted show we do. I said, and I will wholeheartedly, stand up to the statement, Supergirl is probably my favorite superhero show on right now. And that's something I didn't think I was going to say because last season I hated it. I hated Supergirl's inaugural season on CW. I just didn't.
Really?
It just didn't feel. I've said it plenty of times on the show. That I hated it.
Yeah, you have.
But this season, what they did, where you had angry Kara, and then you had Mon-El come back, but Mon-El's with someone else, and she's actually has a legit bad guy that she's fighting in Rain. So there's been so many good working parts that it's just been a great ride.
Yeah. They've had one of the more surprising storylines, as I think we've seen some of the decline on Arrow. It had its peak the first couple of seasons like that, and then kind of plateaued. Supergirl really has kind of taken that next step to kind of level out some of that CW playing field.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, I see that. I mean, their very first season on CBS, I didn't like it because it was CBS, and I didn't go to that channel a lot. So I missed a lot and so on. But when I watched it on Netflix, I was like, okay, this show isn't bad. Then it came to CW where I could watch it more frequently because I watched the CW. I was like, yeah, Supergirl's good. Supergirl's really good, and that and Legend of Tomorrow are my two.
I do love that
shows right now.
That storyline, the way that they just keep coming up with the new and inventive ways to keep that going is incredible. I think I would say Legends is probably the best.
Well, and then you think about it too, like they introduce so many great characters they can't do anything with on these other shows, so then they throw them all on Legends, and they just shine there. It's great to watch.
Yeah, it's chaos in the making.
Yes,
art as well.
It's awesome.
By the way, before we move on to our next show, Kenyon Lonsdale, Kid Flash, is going to Legends.
Oh, good.
He's going to be a series regular.
Good for him, because he is not being used at all.
They were
Flash.
not using him well. We already talked about the season premiere of this season for Flash, so we'll just skip that.
It should have been all about Kid Flash.
And speaking of which, let's go into Flash.
Yes.
The trial of the Flash.
Yeah.
For the murder of Clifford, whatever the hell.
I feel like every show, when they run out of ideas, they're like, let's do a court. Let's do a trial, guys, and then we can rehash all these bad things. But I think for the Flash, it worked because they really did kind of flip it on its head whenever Barry got arrested in the first place, and now he is being in trial and detained and all that. So it was interesting to watch, but it's hard to really understand the motivations behind it because suddenly Barry Allen, who has been all about saving the world, is suddenly like, no, don't run. Stay here and take this that I actually did not do. Like, really? Mm-hmm. You didn't kill the guy. They're just in your place. You can run. You could have gotten out with the body, mind you, before anybody would have ever known. But no, he's just like, no, I'm just gonna take this blame and be like my dad and get into the prison system. Like,
let me take this L.
Yeah, like, what, Barry? Have you been winning too much recently? Is it just like you want to see how it feels to lose?
Savitar and Zoom and everything, all those beatings that you took. No, it's okay.
Yeah, it's fine. No, I didn't kill a guy. I'll take this one.
Right. I need to be taken down a peg.
You see, I think the reason why he stayed is because he knows all the bullshit he's caused with Flashpoint and changing all these timelines. Like, you know what? I need to go to prison for this shit.
But that was him going into the Speed Force. He took blame for that. He took ownership of all of that by going into the Speed Force.
But then they undid it. So ultimately, what did he really sacrifice?
Yeah. I mean, don't blame him, though. That was what's his name? The Thinker's the one that did all that.
Engineered all that so that would happen at the perfect time.
Yeah. So he's got to fight the Thinker, and he's got to beat the Thinker so then he can go back into the Speed Force if he really cares.
Yeah, I see your point, though. The entire show is based on him running. So the one time that he actually should run, he's not going to run.
Yeah, I'm not going to run.
Right.
Okay.
Run, Barry, run. No. Not going to listen to that this one time.
Also, can we talk about for a sec whenever Iris runs in there and is like, I'm going to tell everybody that you're the Flash. And then Barry is like, no, I'm going to stop time, like, with you in this weird time bubble. And she's like, how are you doing this? I don't know. Okay, cool. That's a great explanation of this right now. Right. And she's just like, well, why can't I tell you? Why can't I tell everybody you're the Flash? Because then we'll be running for the rest of our lives. Well, you're the fastest man alive, so it's kind of okay.
Yeah, I really liked Flash. I thought Flash was a good episode. I really like, where they're going with whole, Barry's getting arrested and we got to go through trial. I thought the trial would maybe take a little longer than one episode. Maybe kind of spread that out. But looks like we're going to lock up Barry. I don't know what's going to happen going forward. But I'm very interested to see where this storyline takes us. It could go many different ways. Theoretically, he can still get out of it. He can phase out of jail, go stop a bad guy, and phase himself back through the walls, whatever he needs to do, you know what I'm saying? So, who knows? But I'm excited to see where the story goes. So, we'll see.
What I thought about the episode, it was just,
Yeah.
I wasn't impressed. Right now, my expectations for Flash are declining. It used to be the best show they had on the CW.
Absolutely.
And right now, their storyline is just, they went with lighthearted and kind of funny with a little bit of serious stuff in the first season. Second season, a lot more serious stuff, even though the gap between seasons, they just said, bad things happening, everything's solved.
Yeah.
And they do that every season. And the third season was like, this is drawn out.
It is.
This is really drawn out. And now it's like, what the hell's going on?
Yeah.
What are y'all trying to do now?
And what I want to understand, I want to see too out of this, the rest of the season, is if Barry's in jail, is he going to stay in jail? Is it going to be a deal where the world is in danger?
For one episode.
Right? Where Central City's in danger, and then suddenly, he's not going to leave? Like, he literally could phase out of the walls. But no, is he just going to be like, no, guys, I'm staying here? Why?
So you guys are heroes. You saved the city.
Right. I like the premise that it's not another speedster that's his villain.
Yes.
But honestly, you got some great material there with some of his villains. I think some of the Grodd episodes have been by far.
Love Grodd.
It's one of the most best, that they've done.
Yeah.
So where's that? Like the Thinker, I'm just not impressed by the Thinker as the villain.
No.
And that the ultimate climactic, fight is going to be him versus a guy in a wheelchair.
Well,
Yeah,
now,
well,
now
not-
he's
not a
now
wheelchair.
he's a guy that is
Right.
he's
He's got
the
the-
younger
he's-
guy now. He transferred his mind into a younger person
I
who
didn't
has the ability to hear people's thoughts. So he's the ultimate thinker.
So it's Charles Xavier.
He's literally Charles
Mm-hmm.
Xavier.
He's the younger Charles Xavier.
He's without the wheelchair Charles Xavier.
Without the wheelchair and black,
Yeah, he's black. That's true. Yeah.
which is when he was talking to his wife, was like, "You don't like the touch of this shell." And she was like, "No, it's fine." He's like, "I can read your thoughts. I know you're lying."
I know you're a racist.
She don't like black people.
That was it.
This
And that makes her a worse villain.
even worse.
She's evil.
Moving along.
Now, speaking of people that don't like black people, white police in Black Lightning.
Oh, Lord.
I hate, man, that first 10 minutes, I hated white people.
I was throwing on the stereo playing NWA. Fuck the police. I was like, God damn, man.
Yeah.
But honestly, even though the outcome was good, that shit that's going on in the country today.
Yes.
Yes.
So I'm gonna start with Kevin.
Yeah.
Your thoughts on Black Lightning?
Loved it. Absolutely loved the show. I mean, granted, I think they took a very, real life spectrum that, I'll be honest, I'm a white guy.
Are
so
you?
I don't, true story.
Really?
True story.
Huh.
Right.
You know,
I've never been on the end of the spectrum that our hero has ever been in. I've never been stereotyped like that. I've never been taken out of my car, even though it happens daily in this country. I've never experienced that, so I had no idea. But seeing being in that position, I have no real words for how I would react. It was great. It was fantastic acting. It brought to in the first 5 minutes, very very real points in this country that just threw it right out there. And then at the end of it, you get a badass rampage. So you kind of brought it back down to
He did go into rampage.
he did go rampage, but I mean, I've never been in that situation. I can't imagine what I would do there. So it scared the shit out of me personally.
I love the reaction.
I'm not ignorant. I mean, I'm not ignorant to the fact that I know it happens.
Yeah.
But I don't usually have it right there in front of me. And then I'm forced to deal with that on a daily basis.
Yeah, in a superhero show, nonetheless. I absolutely love the reaction of his girls in the car, filming the police. I love that. To whenever he's being arrested, and then he takes them over to like the Asian couple in the back, and he's like, "What is going on?" He's like, "Man, a liquor store just got robbed." Oh, so the description was a black man in a suit and tie driving a Volvo. Like I loved it, and I love that actor. I don't know, I haven't seen him in anything before. But I enjoyed his acting and his performance in this pilot, and I just loved every character too. Like I didn't feel like there was a lot of wasted motion in this pilot, and I like that instead of getting a hero that we've had in previous CW shows where they're starting to learn about their powers, we have a guy who is already established, who is a boss, who chose not to be Black Lightning for family, but is now coming back and is showing why he is one of the most badass superheroes on television right now. But we're still going to get that effect of learning more about powers because of the fact that his kids are starting to develop theirs. And I think that that's going to be really interesting to watch.
Yeah. Okay. The beginning aside, that I was so pissed off, and it wasn't just the fact of what the cops were doing. It's just that one officer was just really smug about it.
He was a dick.
Oh,
Yeah,
he was a dick.
He was like, "You have a good night, sir. You going to tell me what's going on, blah, blah. You have a good night."
Yeah.
And just smiled and walked off. And I was
I
like,
didn't do anything wrong.
motherfucker. We go on.
Then the next time, whenever the police were at the club, that was another one where it's like, "Sit your black ass down." Like, wow, for real.
Oh yeah,
we didn't need to bring that in. Okay,
but then he handled business. And
he did.
He was like, you know what?
He electrified some cops. I'm just saying, like, there's some bacon on that road.
But yeah, the villain,
Oh my god, yeah.
The albino villain, whale,
Black albino.
who uses a harpoon as a
Dude, that
freaking
was
weapon.
awesome. Tobias Whale. That is awesome. If your name is Tobias Whale, you have to use a harpoon. You have to be freaking Captain Ahab going up, and Black Lightning is your white whale.
The freaking piranha tank in the background.
yes.
I didn't dropping that dude in there. I was like, oh.
I didn't notice that the first time. Watching it the second time, I saw that and I was like, oh god. Like if you watch it later, whenever that guy Lala goes back over to Tobias, you see an arm at the top of it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's like an arm floating at the top of it. You have to like look real close, and I'm like, there's a mass right. That's an arm. Okay, yeah, that is a straight up
That is a
arm.
limb.
Okay, so anyway, I liked it. I loved the girls in the
love the
episode.
girls.
His daughters, the
They
older
were
daughter
fantastic.
that whooped that kid's ass in front of the school. And I was like, oh yeah, superhero right there.
Played by Nafessa Williams.
Okay.
I looked that up because me and BC were comparing.
The younger girl, that's China something.
I don't remember, but I know that.
I think the first name's China.
I think it's China, and I know that BC has a crush on her.
Yeah,
so.
that he does.
Yeah, and BC will tell you all about that in this video.
Yo, though, that Black Lightning, though. That was dope, dude. This is one of the best premieres that they've had. And, man, you ain't lying. I'm in love with the younger girl, China. That girl, his younger daughter, that girl is so beautiful. Like, she is one of the most stunning girls I have ever seen in my life. That girl is, she up there. She on the list, man. I think her name is China. Her first name's China. I don't know her last name. But I do really love what this series is going to be. Like, this is damn good. All from the music all the way down to the acting, to the story. I loved every piece of this. And I think it's only going to get better as it goes. They made a lot of hints about other cities' superheroes. So where this falls in line with the Arrowverse, we still don't technically know. They've said it's not connected, but who knows? You know, Supergirl was not connected either. It could be another Earth or something. I want to know who the other superheroes are, but I'm excited to see what happens, man. Black Lightning is dope, yo. So dope.
I love the show. I'm waiting for the next episode. Absolutely. There are some people, like LA was saying, he's like, there's just so much of that. We want you to be invested in the black people's lives. So I think, or something along those lines.
It's in your face.
They kind of, they throw it in your face. But I think they did it in the beginning, and that one part at the club. I mean, those are the two, of course, the major parts where they're throwing this racial story in your face. But it's not really about them. It's about the whole community.
Yes.
How the whole community is reacting as far as the criminals, how the people are feeling, how the politicians are helping the people, what the police are doing. It's all, this is just a feeling of hopelessness.
Yeah.
But because everyone's black, it's like, oh, it's a racial story. It could be all white people, and it's the same fucking story. Yeah. It's just that feeling of hopelessness, and someone has to rise up to fight against all this stuff. I mean, Green Arrow. Mm-hmm. When he came back, the city was corrupt. He had to come back and rise up and fight against all these corrupt people that were destroying the city. But
it's essentially the same thing. You're right. But what I like about this is that it's real. You know, like with other shows, they feel scripted. But with this one, it didn't feel so much scripted. And it's because they touched on these real situations that we deal with, but we also had real reactions. I mean, even just in that bathroom scene where the two daughters are talking to each other, I feel like that was one of the most real moments that I've seen in a superhero television show, like just in general. Mm-hmm. Like their interactions between each other, the banter and, you know, the humor and the wit and all that. Like, I just felt like this entire show, it didn't feel so much that I was watching a scripted superhero show. It felt like I was watching like a reality show, but then suddenly we have powers.
Right. Well, and you look at it, kind of goes into the fact that he's taken other measures to not be Black Lightning.
Yeah.
You know, he knew Latavius or Lala. Like, he had an unspoken agreement with the gangs that they keep his school out of there. And then he's done his best as a educator to better the people that he's teaching.
He did. No, you're right. He did. And I like that too because, they talked about it several times. They're like, 7 years I've been the principal here and we've never had a violent act. And then you even look at what Lala said later when he's beat the crap out of that one kid where he said, 5 years I've been in charge and we haven't had a single violent act. Look at what you've done. So they kind of said the same thing to each other. And it's because of this arrangement. And now you're seeing that the rest of the season is going to be that this arrangement is crumbling and it's gone.
Oh, yeah. It's out the window at this point.
Yeah.
That mutual respect that Latavius had for Jefferson.
Yeah.
is just completely out the window. He came to him and said, hey, as a teacher, he was the guy who sat in his classrooms, was in his school. So he grew up in that. I think that's why he was able to have those agreements with them, because he had that relationship as an educator. But it's out the window right now. Shit's about to hit the fan.
Yeah, that's done.
One more thing. Outside of Supergirl, Black Lightning has to have the worst, disguise ever. Seriously. Okay, so the kid walks out and the glasses come on, they fade to black.
All right.
You can still see the rest of the face. Really? You don't expect me to not know that that's Jefferson, the principal of Garfield High School?
You're going to have to just the suspension of disbelief or whatever the hell, because when Tim Drake would push a little domino mask, you think nobody will know who they are? I could walk in the building and say, hey guys, I'll be right back. I got to go do something. Put in a freaking domino mask, a little bright costume, and walk back in and it's like, Rob, what the fuck you doing? And say, who do you mean, Rob? I'm Robin.
Dude, I'm not gonna lie.
Motherfucker, I'm looking at you.
when he's in Club 100 and he's talking to that bouncer and the bouncer's like, no, you can't come in here. And then he uses his lightning powers. I swear, I thought there was going to be a moment later on where Lala's talking to that bouncer, and the bouncer's like, bro, that was the principal of Garfield High. That is Jefferson.
That man on the news.
Seriously, man. And he's got lightning powers. That's Black Lightning, bro. And then Lala would have been like, oh, how did we never know that?
Right.
Not to mention the two cops that stopped him in the alley with the lights on his face. And then they shoot him with tasers, and then he grabs it and electrocutes them, or shocks them, knocks them
down. And then blows up the car.
Blows up the car. It's like, they're not going to wake him and say, hey, the principal of this school just...
Yeah! Look, a taser is not going to make you forget about what you just saw.
In forensics, where we've gone technology-wise these days, do you think they're not going to try and recover some data from that cop car, from the police kit?
Yeah.
Right? Oh my God, Jefferson.
Well, we could say because he zapped the car that he fried all electronics and destroyed all the whatever. So
look, that's what you have to assume. Right?
Sure,
yeah, that's all.
And, I'll take that. I will take that. But still, human memory, lights flashing on the guy, it is just bright lights right on you. You're gonna remember that face.
Right.
I want to see him go into, the police station, which he was at the beginning of the episode. So again, police have seen him recently. I want to see him go in there and be like, hold up. You're Black Lightning. They're like, no, sir, I am the principal of Garfield High. Yeah, we know.
You see my three-piece suit, all right?
You electrified me and my partner.
The one other part I got to say before we move along that I loved was in the hotel scene where he's just going ham on everybody.
That was awesome.
And that one white dude comes out the room with the hookers. He just zap for nothing. He wasn't attacking him.
No.
He just wanted to run out and get the hell out of there.
But
zap.
He was in that Seahorse Hotel or whatever it's called. And I think he was having sex with a prostitute. And he is like, hey, adultery is wrong. Zap.
Okay.
Prostitution.
It's Black Lightning, and prostitution's wrong too. Zap. Black Lightning don't care. He's about justice and getting his daughters back. Warpath. Rampage.
Right. That was a sweet rampage.
Okay.
Badass rampage. And I love the song, the music too.
It was a 3-story, I think 2 or 3-story hotel, and he's standing right next to the sign where they're all arresting people down there, and it's this bright sign that he is lit up.
Why does nobody see him?
Right.
maybe they thought he was part of the freaking sign.
Yeah.
Right. Just glowing and
I want one guy on the side to be a cop and just be like, hi! There's that Black Lightning! And then something that
Gomer Piles.
Yes,
Black
he
Lightning.
was there. And then the detective looks up and be like, Jefferson? The fuck you doing up there?
Get down from there.
It says there are vacancies. You can go in the hotel. Your daughters are right here.
The note was actually, yeah. Oh, yeah, right. It was.
Yeah. The note was off. There was vacancies, man.
Okay, so next one I want to go into is Arrow, except I did not watch Arrow.
I did. I can talk about it.
I didn't watch it Thursday, of course, because I was doing the SNS Live, and Friday I was busy doing stuff, work and then real estate and blah, blah, blah.
Yes, you are a mogul.
Yes, I am.
But Arrow was okay. It basically, I almost feel like Arrow's kind of run its course.
I thought it, honestly, just before I derail you on that.
No, you're good.
I thought the entire storyline was just leading up to the 5 years, that he was gone.
Yes.
5 years.
Yeah.
That was a perfect wrap-up. I expected Arrow to be done in 5 years, and I was happy with that.
I was fine. Yeah.
As now they're kind of dragging it on, and it is a drag.
It is. And even the situation between Caden James's crew and then the Arrow crew is just kind of blah, I guess. Like, all the storylines and now the Arrow crew is splitting up into two teams. It just seems so convoluted and messy. John is now okay because of a microchip, so he doesn't have those weird tremors anymore, so that's cool, I guess. But outside of that, like, I'm just, it's hard to get into Arrow right now. Like, it's
you don't care anymore. You find yourself just like,
yeah, like you watch it, but it's one of those shows that you have on while you're doing something else, and that's kind of what I did. Like, I watched the whole show, but I don't know if I was as invested as I have been in the past. It's just not as brutal and awesome as it used to be. Now, granted, Arrow got outsmarted in this one, which was really cool to see. But that's about the only unique thing that we saw in this episode.
Okay.
That's been kind of a trend that they've been playing upon lately. All of last season was him getting outsmarted.
You're right.
Somebody
You're right.
getting
That's a
one
good
step
point.
ahead of them for him trying to track down who is this guy? Who is this guy? Oh, it's the guy that was standing right next to me on my press conference earlier today.
Sure. Well, now it's about two factions going up against each other, and I'm sorry, I saw this on WWE 2 years ago. So, yeah.
Two factions as far as like his own people.
Yeah, his
clashing
people
against each other?
versus his faction, because even the other group, they're kind of still friends. They're all going to still fight against crime. Versus Caden James, because Caden James has 6 people on his, so he's got a faction, they've got a faction. Let's all faction together.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I mean, for me, like you said before, the whole you put it on, it's on in the background. That's what I did with Smallville around season 5 or 6, where it started going downhill. And I've been doing that with Arrow since like season 3, 4.
It just needs something fresh. And I think that's the problem we've been dealing with. And honestly, I feel like it has to do with his team. Because the team, like the characters themselves are cool. But they just never mesh at all. Like they're always butting heads. And it just is annoying. And you go back to what we had before when it was just Ollie going up against the world, and then John was kind of around, and then they used Felicity from time to time, and then they kind of started putting that together, and then you had a cool guy in Speedy that came in, or I guess he wasn't really Speedy, but he was Speedy. Roy Harper. Those were all cool storylines, and these just seem so watered down. Like even the writers are just kind of tired.
Arrow, I don't understand exactly what they're doing. Like, we're splitting up the team. We got 2 different teams going 2 different ways. I really wish that Speedy would be Speedy again and actually go like fight with the team. I don't understand why Ollie is being Arrow again. I thought he had to put that away and stop being Arrow. So why he's just cool with going out there and doing it, I don't get. You made a real big deal about how he wasn't going to be Arrow anymore, and now all of a sudden, like, it's like, nah, it's cool, I can do it, whatever. I don't know why you don't get Speedy to, go out there with him, but, because she's back now, so, I don't know, we'll wait and see. I'm excited, again, to see where this goes, but this episode itself, not much to it other than setting up what's going to happen in the second half of the season, so we'll see what happens with it.
Yeah, well, Arrow, keep watching it, I guess. I don't know.
Speaking of tired plots, Supernatural is a show that is on.
Yeah. This one I also did not watch. I watched the very beginning of it, and this is the Wayward Sisters episode. They're kind of intro to what's the lady's name? Joy, Judy, whatever.
Yeah, the werewolf girl
sheriff.
and the other girl.
Yeah, Claire. All the girls that the brothers had found before in some bullshit and sent off to live with Jody, and now they're all doing their own thing because the boys are gone.
Yeah.
They've gone to another plane to find Mama, and she's like, "Hey, the boys are gone. We need to do a job," and they're getting the girls together.
No lie, I'm about 5 episodes behind right now. Like, I'm still on the part where they're still hanging out with, Devil's Son kid, Antichrist guy.
Oh yeah, their little buddy.
Yeah, I'm still on that part, and I mean, it was entertaining. I'm not going to say that this has been not a great or an interesting season, because it has been. It's been interesting enough. It's just the only thing is that with Supernatural, I like to binge it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's just otherwise, like, I'm waiting week after week, and I don't know if I'm that invested. But if I have it all on Netflix, like it's going to be at the end of the season, I can just watch it all and just be like, "Oh, that was really cool what they did." I can't wait for the 28th season.
Supernatural, for me, like the real love, the interest for the show died after the whole Leviathan season.
Yeah, that was pretty bad.
I mean,
that was the 6th one, right?
Yeah, I think so.
No, 7.
6 or 7,
7 was
whichever.
Leviathan.
But the Leviathan was supposed to be so strong and so powerful, and they can't stop them, and this and that. And it gets to the season finale, and all they do was the leader, they chop his head off.
You know what pisses me off about the whole
And
Leviathan
they just, okay,
thing?
let's separate the body from the head, and
Like,
that's it.
Leviathans in mythology, it's just a giant-ass serpent. It's badass. And so, like, what really took me out of that was that they were like, these are the Leviathans. I'm like, no, they aren't. This isn't Atlantis. The Leviathan isn't around Atlantis. The Leviathan is not split up between all these people like a damn disease. I was pissed off when I saw that crap.
I gave up on Supernatural, and I mean, I tried to pick it up after this for a little bit. After it was the whole Cain and Abel thing, and
Sure, that was cool.
That was a good. I was kind of happy with it just stopping right there. I mean, I wasn't thrilled about it. It was like, Cain and Abel, and this other guy who can also play into this plot the way we need.
Derek,
him to. Right? Well, whatever.
Yeah.
It was good. It was a good ending for me right about there.
I think the best ending though was after season 5. That was if you could have ended it there, that would have been perfect. And I'm almost starting to wonder if like 5 seasons is enough for any show, especially for CW, because after you pass that threshold, it just starts to drag. And I don't know if maybe it's the CW philosophy, maybe it's the writers, maybe everybody's just getting into fatigue. But after 5 seasons, I feel like that's whenever you just need to finish it.
Well, I'd say by season 7, a lot of shows that have gone that long, I think it's by season 7 where it's like, okay, this needs to end. Right. But by that time, it's actually really bad.
I like the show well enough to know that Dean's got a brewery that opened up in Austin that I would love to go to.
For real?
No joke.
Really?
Yeah.
You're going to be in Austin next week. Gotta go. Are you going to go?
I'm going to try to.
Yeah! Come back with a report.
The Supernatural Brewery.
Hi, I'm Kevin, a.k.a. Broden. Hi, here live from the Supernatural Brewery. And I have to tell you, these brews are magical.
Okay, let's move along. And this is a show that I do not watch. I love the franchise behind it, but I just can't get into it because I never watched the first part, and that is Star Wars Rebels.
Yeah, and that's understandable because if you haven't watched the first season, why would you get invested now?
Yeah. I mean, well, not even the first season. I haven't even watched Clone Wars.
Ooh,
that's disappointing. You need to work on that. But anyway, I love Star Wars Rebels. Do you watch it at all?
I haven't. It's not on Netflix, so there's nothing I can do
they
about
need to
that.
fix that. But I think they'll fix it whenever Disney finally comes out with their app, or AKA Hulu. I love Rebels, man. Like, it's such a good show. I think it's better than Clone Wars. Like, and Clone Wars was great. I loved it, and I know you. That's a
huge fan of Clone Wars.
It's a special place in your heart. But like, you look at what Clone Wars did, and Rebels ties into a lot of those things. So you see where, because Clone Wars kind of ended off on a really bad note, where it was just so open-ended and you don't know whatever happened to any of these characters.
Right.
So in Rebels, you finally figure out what happens with Ahsoka. Right. You figure out what happens with Rex and those guys, the clone troopers. So there's a lot of questions that are answered in Rebels. Meanwhile, they're crafting these original characters that have such a great chemistry with each other, except BC's going to say he hates Chopper. But it's so great, though. And they bring in these established characters like Darth Vader.
Right.
And you have Darth Vader versus Ahsoka, which was so cool to see. And that was just in season 2.
See, my Facebook feed is just nerdy enough that, scrolling through some things, I'll actually get, Star Wars Rebels clips. So I've seen, how Rex and those guys are in there. I've seen the battle with Darth Vader and Ahsoka, and holy crap.
It's
the
so
revelation whenever Ahsoka realizes that is Vader.
Yeah.
That was nuts.
I know, yeah. And then you also have Darth Maul, who comes back. He makes a return.
Oh, that's right. Yes,
and then
that's right.
Darth Maul goes up against Obi-Wan. So there's so many cool little storylines. Meanwhile, they're still fighting the Empire. And you've got a villain in Grand Admiral Thrawn that I think a lot of people are not very happy with, because they're like, that's not my Thrawn from the books. But still, as a character, he's a fun character to watch. Now, the trailer just came out for the mid-season premiere, because this is the last season that we're going to be doing. The series is ending after this, and it was great because the trailer had an homage to everything that's happened before. Everything with Ezra learning to become a Jedi, with Kanan and the rebellion being formed, and then everything that you've seen, Darth Vader versus Ahsoka, all these cool little moments. And then it gets into what we're going to see. And it shows Kanan and his own rampage, going to try and save Hera. You've got Ezra, who's trying to learn a little bit more about the Force. But what he discovers is that Emperor Palpatine is on his trail. And that Palpatine is going to come into the series, whether it's via a test or whether it's actually Palpatine, remains to be seen. But there was a moment where you saw those two about to come to blows, and that just has me so excited for these final episodes of Star Wars Rebels.
Getting to see what a bad man Palpatine really was is extremely exciting. You look at whenever he took on Darth Maul, and I can't remember.
And Clone Wars, yeah.
Yeah, in Clone Wars,
yeah.
That was a fantastic battle.
Oh yeah, that was cool.
Whenever he finally goes, he sits back and he does his own thing. He controls everything from his Iron Throne.
Yep.
But whenever he finally gets in there and goes to battle, it's spectacular.
It is, and if that's the Palpatine we're going to see, Ezra doesn't have a chance.
That dude is OP.
So now I'm wondering what's going to happen to Ezra, because a lot of people are wondering, are any of these rebels going to survive? I mean, we saw them here and there, not them, but the ships and stuff in Rogue One. Mm-hmm. But we know where the timeline is on that, but who's in the ship? That could be anybody in that ship. Right. So we don't know who's going to survive, and that's the most enticing thing about this show, is that we've become so invested, or at least I have, in these characters, that you don't know where it's going to all end up, and that's just, you just can't wait. So that's where I'm at with that.
So right now, since you don't know how everything's going to end, this is the final season. Would you want them to kind of lead up to the end of Rogue One, beginning of A New Hope, like end Rebels like that, where you know who's in the ship and who's there?
I think it would be pretty cool, kind of a meta thing to do, because that's what Rogue One did. I think it would be a cool thing for them to do. I don't know where in the timeline Rebels is in conjunction where the Rebellion is. Yeah. That would be something I'd need to figure out. But I think it'd be a cool thing to see. But what's the context? Does Ezra die and they're just trying to move on? Is it Hera and Kanan? Does Kanan die? And Hera's like, well, the rebellion's still intact. I got to still keep on moving. So there's so many things that I need to see before I'd be happy about that ending.
Theoretically, I think they would have to die, because otherwise you're looking at the canon trilogy and everything else that we have, starting with the New Hope, and wondering, hey, where are those guys at? What are they doing there?
I know, but
are we waiting for episode 9 where somebody goes back and finds this Ezra guy and it's like, hey,
maybe, but they're not legit Jedi.
That opens you up for a Star Wars story.
It could, but they're not legit Jedi. They are they fight for the good side. The light side of the Force.
Say it.
They're not gray Jedi.
Say it.
They're not. No, they're not, because they're not Jedi. Because they are not I should say they're not Jedi Knights. They're Jedi, I guess, if you want to really put a label on them. But you look at Kanan. Kanan didn't finish his training at the Academy. And then Ezra's learning stuff through Kanan. And Ezra's also been diving into the dark side. So it's really murky to say that they are Jedi legit. So that's why it's kind of interesting too to see whether or not Ezra follows the path into the dark with Palpatine, or if he goes the Jedi way and possibly dies to Palpatine, or maybe Kanan comes into play. I don't know. Yeah. So there's going to be a lot of cool things to see whenever it comes back, and I believe it's February 19th. Yeah, February 19th is when it comes back on Disney XD.
Yay!
Yeah,
that's a couple days after Black Panther is released in the theaters.
We just had to say it. It's not a TV, but
I'm so excited about that.
It's so good. It's so good. Really.
So, okay. So, that is pretty much everything we've got for what we're watching, what's been on TV this week or in the news. As far as channel surfing goes, whoosh, 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 water, waves. There's nothing I've been watching.
What?
Nothing of note that I could say, oh, watch this show or whatever. I mean, I've been busy this week, so.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, you have anything you've been watching?
Hell yeah, I got stuff I've been watching.
Well, let's have our guest talk first.
I got 3 things, Kevin. But go ahead.
No. I love listening to you talk.
I don't.
No, truthfully, a show that me and my wife have picked up is The Brave, and I'm a big fan of. I know the whole terrorist villain has really been done over and over and over again. You know, from Die Hard.
Oh yeah, so good. So good.
To London is Falling or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
The new take on it, the way that they're operating, in DC with the secret people on the ground, and the last episode where I don't want to spoil anything, but where one of the teammates was recovered was absolutely spectacular, and I was literally on the edge of my seat the entire time, wondering what was going to happen.
Good on you, NBC.
Cool. I mean, I talked about The Brave when the season was starting up. I watched the first couple of episodes, and I really liked it. Mm-hmm. As for the realism of the show and what they do, as far as missions and whatever, I like that part.
Whereas, you liked it better than that David Boreanaz show.
Yeah, better than Navy SEALs on CBS, which kind of did more, at least from what I saw, they dealt more with their background lives and what they did here. And I don't want that. I don't want the family drama with military people. I want a show about military people doing military shit.
Yep.
And that's what The Brave did. So I liked it. I didn't keep up with it after episode 4 because of a bunch of other things that I'm watching. At the end of the season, I may go back and binge watch through the whole thing.
Yep.
Because it is good. But yeah, that's
a very
cool
strong
show.
ensemble cast. Anne Heche is doing really well.
Good for her.
Yeah.
Interesting. Don't hear much about Anne Heche.
You don't.
Yeah. It's good she's still acting.
Yeah, I suppose.
Any other shows?
Nothing else that I can think of at the moment.
Okay. Like I said, I got 3. One is The Magicians. I talked about it last week, and that's still just one of my favorite shows. My wife watched it with me the other day, and she actually started laughing at some of the stuff that was being said. Like I talked about last week, where Elliot beheld the great cock, which is amazing. It's like, have you ever beheld a cock like mine? Yes, 1 or 2. Anyway, so great. But yeah, so now they're starting their journey, and Elliot found his first key. He's got to find 7, and so it's a great show. I don't think you've started watching it, have you? It's all on Netflix, but it's called The Magicians. Mm-mm. And
I watched one episode, and I mean, my TV time is split with the wife, so she didn't get into it.
You need to get into it, though.
I will get into it.
It's good. Season 3's on right now. We're only on episode 2, and it's just fantastic. And I could go way more into that. But there's 2 other shows I want to talk about that I haven't talked about before. Well, actually, last week I think I talked about The Crown. But the difference with last week to this week is season 2. That's where I'm at right now. Last week I was on season 1, and now I'm in the new season of The Crown. And man, it's fabulous. Like, it starts off where after Philip has left for the Olympics, and now like he's come back, and there's so much controversy over whether or not he had any sort of infidelity with other people while he was gone, because his close secretary did and was getting a divorce, and that was like a big deal. Well, the most recent episode I watched was about this one reporter who everyone hated. He became like the most hated man in England because he had scathing remarks for the Queen. But it's because the Queen was being like so stuffy. And like she actually had like this one speech where she was talking about how people under her had like these boring, benign jobs and like existences, and it was because her press secretary had written that. And she didn't approve it because she was just like, "Oh, do you like it?" And he's like, "Yes, I do." He's like, "Cool, whatever. I'll just do it. I'll just read it." And it was bad. So then, what's interesting, and this is all true, was that reporter, after having saying like writing that article about how bad she was, went on the air and defended his position. Then got an invite by Buckingham Palace to come over and talk to the secretary, but ended up talking to the Queen. And he brought a list of things that needed to be changed, thinking he was just going to talk to the secretary. But he talks to the Queen, and he's like, you need to stop this, you need to stop this, you need to stop this, you need to start this, and you need to start this and this. And that'll make you a better monarch, and people are going to love you even more. And that'll bring you into this new generation that we're living in. And she was like, well, I might just do like 2 of them. Mm-hmm. But then it was revealed that pretty much they did all of them.
Nice.
And then later on, like several years later, they finally gave him credit for doing that. Like otherwise they were like, we will never say that you came here and helped or did anything. Like instead, they were just like, we were going to do this on our own. But then later on, they finally gave him credit. So it was a really cool story. And I love The Crown. It's wonderfully produced. And that's all on Netflix. And then the final show is on Amazon Prime. And I really think that this deserves an Emmy for at least like best comedy. And that is The Grand Tour. This show has me rolling every time I watch it. And I'm not a big car guy. But like, even if you're not a big car guy, you can really appreciate what they're doing. I'm a great driver. Like, you can appreciate what they do on this show, because it's just 3 guys who are out there trying to test these cars and put them to the limits and do the stupidest things possible. Like, on this most recent episode 7, Richard Hammond and James May decided that they were tired of having to stop at the pump to fill up their cars. So instead, they were like, why don't we come up with a way to fill up your car while you're driving? And so they rigged up a couple of vehicles to like mobily put in gas. And the first one, there was like a rig that they were trying to aim into the hole, and it like bashes the window, and they're like, oh, yep, sorry about that, just gonna come back. Oh, got it. Okay. So he finally gets it, and he's starting to fill up the gas, and then the device breaks, and then the car explodes.
Excellent.
Oh my God.
And so that could have gone any other way.
And then they're like, okay, you know what? I think we're using too much technology. Let's reel it back in. So they're driving this van, and the guy's driving another car, and the guy in the car is like, oh, I'm running out of gas. I need to press this app. And then the guy in the van's like, okay, time to unleash the gas. And so the van opens up, and 2 Chinese acrobats are in the back with gas tanks strapped to them, and they jump onto the car. Yeah. They jump onto the car, and they like, the one guy's putting in gas, and the other guy's like, okay, cool, I think he's almost done. Hey, Richard, go ahead and pull up closer to the van so that way we can get more. And so he just starts speeding up, and the guy that was on the car falls off of the car and explodes. And meanwhile, the other guy jumps onto the car and starts filling up gas, and like, oh my God, we killed a Chinese man. And then they finally figured out how to do it. It was hilarious. But then the other thing is that they have a good serious tone too, and they talk about historically accurate things that happen in racing that I, not being a guy who doesn't follow it, would never have known. And it was amazing to watch, like Audi versus this Italian company. I was talking to you guys off camera about it. It was so amazing to watch. And I won't go too far into it because we're running out of time, but definitely go on Amazon Prime, use one of the 4 friends you have to get their password, and just watch it, because it's so great. 4 friends who have it, because only 4 people actually own Amazon Prime. Yep. So yeah,
thank you, brother.
Yeah, so just go ahead and thanks, Mom. Just go ahead and watch it there, because yeah, it's awesome.
All right, well, that is our show.
Yep.
Thanks for coming along, guys, and talking about TV with us. Matt, tell people where they can find you.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Move the Joystick. And also, don't forget to check out January 26th. You've heard it here. January 26th is going to be the return of UGF, and it's going to be the Madden NFL Classic.
Mm-hmm. Kevin, tell people where they can write you notes about your glorious beard.
Oh, absolutely. You can write it to, what's your address?
Don't say it.
Oh, okay. At Move the Joysticks address. Thank you. That's enough. That's
Move the
enough.
Joystick
No, that's
on
pretty
Twitter.
good. It's coarse though. Like you usually have oil in this thing.
Oil.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
use the beard oils and
Yeah.
all that stuff.
Oils, balms, absolutely. Shampoos, conditioners.
Glorious. I'm Entropy1. You can find me on Twitter. You can send messages at Channel Control TV. Check out Instagram, Channel Control TV also. And subscribe.
And don't forget about Cinelinks.com. Cinelinks for all your news, reviews, editorials, and more. And hey, BC, why don't you put yourself over there for a sec?
Yeah, yo, great episode, guys. Promise I'm going to try my best to get into the studio as soon as I can. But until then, y'all can hit me up on all social media at RealJackassBC, RealJackassBC. That works on Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And you can find It Is What It Is on Cinelinks.com. We have the most anticipated films of 2018 with the Mad Zag Part 2 just dropped last week. And coming up this week, I'm going to announce the Jeebus Award nominations. So y'all get ready for that because it's going to be dope. You can still vote for Viewer's Choice. I'm not going to announce Viewer's Choice until a lot closer to the actual Jeebus Awards, which will be like the first weekend of March. So make sure to get on Twitter and hashtag JeebusVC. That's JeebusVC for Viewer's Choice. What was your favorite movie of 2017? Let me know. It's going to be awesome. There's going to be a lot of presentations. There's going to be a lot of fun. Celebrities in the house. You know, Jeebus Awards are popping, yo. Real talk. And also, don't forget, Go Home. This Friday night, going to have the whole crew. It's going to be up on the Jackass Nation Podbean channel. And it's going to be, we're talking a Royal Rumble, man. This first time ever, 30-woman Royal Rumble. So don't miss that. Anyway, Channel Control. We'll see y'all next week.
You know what you need to do for like credits? Like we need to have like Bob Ross credits where it's like but it's like instead of you with like a paintbrush, it's you with like a remote control and you're just channel surfing. And it's like,
well, see, what I would do is like if I had a light dimmer, I'd dim the lights and I'd just talk and you just mumble words to each other.
oh, that'd be great.
Audio and just roll credits
Yes!
and all that stuff.
And then we could just do stuff like, as like the credits are rolling. That would be awesome.
Okay, so we're going to work on an ending and we'll see you next week. Thank you. Bye-bye.